Good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in on this lovely day where I'm at. Today, Jan, alongside, and I are going to talk about things that we used to love when we were much younger or kids, different products or foods that we all loved and liked from years back that's not really around anymore. So, I know a couple for me that I remember very well from my era being, you know, primarily of the 1980s. That's like child, preteen, teenager for me. I remember High C coming out with something called Ecto Cooler, ECTO Cooler. It was green that revolved around the Ghostbusters movie. Um, all that basically was orange tangerine high C, which you had back in the 60s and 70s. And all they did was add green food coloring, for the movie. And from what I understand, they brought it back for a short time uh, late last year, I think, when another Ghostbusters movie came out. But I haven't seen it at the stores. A couple of other ones is Freshen Up Gum, the gum that had like a liquid center in the center. That was really good. I used to always like the peppermint, the bubble gum, I believe there was, and there was a cinnamon flavor. Those were the three I liked. Spearmint was okay. And one other product, don't remember the exact company. It was either VO5 or Suave. They used to have a shampoo that was yellow in color that had real eggs in it. That was a wonderful product. I want to say the latter part of the 70s. I know I remember it in the early 80s, like 80, 81. So that's a few items that I remember right offhand that you don't see anymore. Jan, I know you've got a few you would like to
Hi,
mention.
Steve. Thanks so much for having me on. Hi, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Thanks for being here on a Saturday afternoon. Let me tell you something. I was so blessed. My dad was a postal worker, but in addition to that, he also worked for the Nabisco company. I know we're all familiar with that name, right? But I was kind of spoiled because back in my dad's day, when I was a little girl, this was like in the early 60s, all the employees were entitled to, like, if there were broken cookies or anything, they weren't clever enough yet to make that pre-made crust with the leftover cookies. What they would do is invite the employees to just go carry a sack of the broken cookies home. So I was exposed to a lot of interesting cookies growing up back in my day. But there's something that now Steve had mentioned earlier, chocolate snaps. Who out there viewing this remembers chocolate snaps? This cookie, I don't know why this cookie was discontinued. Almost every single person that I have ever mentioned chocolate snaps to has a very good memory of it. And it was nice, deep chocolatey flavor, fudgy, but there was a slight hint of coconut flavor to it too. Who remembers that? But another cookie from Nabisco that never, ever, ever, ever should have been discontinued was called the Nabisco Marshmallow Sandwich Cookie. It was like two vanilla wafers type thing with like a nice soft marshmallow center. And it was in a box that actually flipped open twice. Like it was a flip on one side, a flip on another side, two boxes together. And it was covered with a blue waxy covering. And you see the picture, the images. Every single person that I have ever spoken to in my age bracket, that cookie sticks out like a sore thumb. And Steve, I will never understand why certain cookies, why certain products have ever become extinct. I'm telling you. So I'm going to go over, just reminiscing, a few of the products from my childhood that I really, really missed. One of them was my mother said, because I would never drink milk. I despise the taste of plain milk. Ew. My family could not get me to drink milk. So they compromised. And what they did get was an item. There are two items. they would get an item called Bosco, which was like the predecessor to the Hershey syrup. So I don't know if this was across the whole country. Bosco, Bosco. That was amazing. So that got me to drink my milk. And then there was another item which didn't last a long time at all. It was called Cocoa Marsh. And it was like Bosco, except it was in a pump. And the special ones had like a lion head on top of it, I think. And I always wanted that lion head one, and my mother never would get it for me. I don't know why. So I had to settle for the one with just the picture of the lion on it. But it was a pump. And that was called Cocoa Marsh. Now, here's a retro product that has never gone away, but it was at its height of its amazing fame, and it was called, and is still called, Fluff. And we used to make a sandwich back in the early 60s. This was, I don't know why, but marshmallow anything was a very popular thing in the early 60s. So we used to make a sandwich called a Fluffernutter, by which you would put this marshmallow product, which still exists. You can still get it at the grocery store. And I'm sure some diehards out there viewing this remember this very well. And get a little bit of peanut butter, and you would go across and you would make a fluffer nutter sandwich. So that retro thing you could still do today. Before I forget, Steve, remember we were reminiscing about popcorn recently? And you could still get Jiffy popcorn, which comes in this like little, looks like a little bit of a skillet with a little handle on it. And you just, watch it expand. You do the popcorn right on top of your stove. That was the natural, normal way that kids growing up in the late 50s and the early 60s and beyond, that's the way we got our popcorn. Just saying. Now, here's a scent that came, stopped, and came back, much to my happiness. And a lot of ladies out there viewing may remember it, called Heaven Scent. I understood that Heaven Scent was originally done by Helena Rubinstein, if I'm not mistaken, in the late 30s or early 40s. And then it went away. Then in the 60s, very popular when I was a little girl, I loved my Heaven Scent. And then just to mention, it's spelled either or. It could be Heaven, S-E-N-T, or Heaven, S-C-E-N-T, and both are still correct. Then another company called Dana, D-A-N-A. I don't know when that took over, but then at some point it had stopped, but it came back due to popular requests. Apparently it came back. Steve, I'm glad you mentioned Freshen Up Gum, because I remember when I was like a teenager, I think, when Freshen Up Gum was popular, maybe teenage or early 20s, but it was a really handy thing to have. If you wanted your breath to feel a little bit fresher, Freshen Up really did the trick. But let's get back to hair care. Steve mentioned, I think you mentioned earlier about the shampoo. There's a couple of things regarding hair care. Back in the 70s was a company, they called it Herbal Essence Shampoo, which I understand Herbal Essence still exists today, but not quite the scent, the original one from the 70s. That was the most heavenly fragrance I ever smelled in my life, was great shampoo. And there's another product that I have been looking for, but never came back. This is product from the 80s when everybody had the big hair going on. It was called Stiff Stuff Hairspray. The thing about Stiff Stuff, if you took a shower, you know how like your hair looks great after a shower, you blow your hair out, it looks perfectly fresh. If you put the Stiff Stuff on after you blew out your hair, it looked the whole day exactly like from when you stepped out of the shower and you sprayed your hair. I never saw a product like it. But when you touched your hair, it didn't look like the way it looked. It would be like you felt like a texture to your hair. It was the craziest thing, Stiff Stuff. And another product that still exists, but its heyday was in the 60s. And Steve, you might remember this name. It is called Dippity Doo Gel. Anybody out there still using Dippity Doo Gel? Just wondering. But you know what? These things have lasting power. And I really don't know why a lot of this stuff has been discontinued.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, when it comes to the popcorn, and yeah, I do remember the one where you put it on the stove and the foil will raise up and and it makes like into a big circular and it fills up with popcorn. Um, that was one way of going about it. Now, when I grew up, my parents, you had like a Dutch oven pot. You put your oil, your popcorn, you put a lid on it, you put it on the stove, and you watched it. And as it was popping, you would shake it to where nothing would stick. And
That's
then when
right.
it was done, you pop the lid, and that's the way I grew up with popcorn. And of course, you had the popcorn popper. Those three ways are going to give you the best tasting popcorn. Not that there's anything wrong with microwavable, but keep in mind, be careful with the microwavable, because some of those is not real butter. Some of that is artificial. So you have to monitor which ones you buy. Like the Orville Redenbacher, like there's a natural, there used to be a tender white that I used to like. Pop Secret has one called Home Style that's good. I don't buy just any one. Now, if you get into like your movie theater butter type, then you're going to run into a lot of artificial. At least that's what I've seen. So,
Yeah.
careful. Um, I'm trying to think back to anything that I remember. Um, oh, I do have one. All of you may or may not remember it, since we're talking about the 1980s. Back around 1985, Coca-Cola got this wild hair up them. Hey, let's change the taste of Coke. Let's create two Cokes. Not only did you have the Coca-Cola that we all knew and come to love, they decided to come out with a different variation. Well, I was about 11 or so about the time this product came about. I personally, even though I don't drink Coke or any soda, I haven't for, 18 years now. But back then, I stuck with the original Coke. I didn't really like the one they brought out. I remember that. This product is still made by Coke. I remember back when Cherry Coke came out.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I think they may still have this variation of Coke. I could be wrong. Again, like I said, I haven't drank Coke, any type of colas or any soda. I mean, the only thing I drink now is maybe a seltzer, or club soda or something along that line. I know they also come out with a variation of Coke called Vanilla Coke.
Oh my goodness, that has to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I had it. It was good. It wasn't long after that when I stopped drinking soda, but um, yeah, but there's so many different products out there that um, you know.
You're right.
Now
You know, yes.
here's a couple of candies I thought that were over and done with. I had it as a
Mhm.
kid. Now across the street from me, from where I'm at, I've got a shopping center, and there's a store called Five Below. It's like anything $5 and below, and they have a section in there with old timey candies. I thought they had stopped making the Chuckles. I found that. The Chiclets gum. I found that. I thought they had stopped making a Clark bar. I not only did I find it there, I also found it at a restaurant, Cracker Barrel. They've got a little section. I found a Clark bar. Another one
Yum.
is a Zagnut that you may remember.
I do.
Oh, Fifth Avenue was another candy bar I thought they had stopped making. Fifth Avenue, but they have it.
Wow. I thought they stopped that too.
Mm-mm. I found it, like I said, over
Did
there.
you see Mallow Cups? Because that to me
That's
spelled
over
out.
there. Right.
Ah,
It's in a yellow wrapping with the
yeah. Oh, they're so good, Steve.
yeah.
Mallow Cups. Oh,
And
Lord.
then coming back to Cracker Barrel, and there's also another store I have called World Market. There's only like two or three around town. Um, Another soda that you used to have was called Knee High. Knee High.
I
NEH.
heard that name. Yeah.
Knee High. And another beverage that I do like, they brought it back. The only place I've seen it is at World Market. It's a clear drink, seltzer like bubbly, called Clearly Canadian.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you ever saw it. It came like in a light. It's in a glass bottle, I know how you feel about glass, but it was in a glass bottle. It had a slight blue tint to it, very light, slight blue. It said clearly Canadian. It came in cherry, peach, blackberry, so many different flavors.
Amazing.
But it's not the same price that I remember back in the early '90s when I saw it. It's over
Yeah.
$2 a bottle now. But that's another product that I just remembered that is back.
That's the problem. Going into it, that would be going into another show for sure.
Yeah,
And
and
I'm telling you, it's amazing.
well, not only can you get it at World Market, Amazon carries it as well.
Very cool.
There's some things that you don't necessarily have to get at a specific store because if you go to Amazon, yeah, I mentioned them. I mean, a lot of people do Prime, and I will share a little bit of information off topic from what we're doing. Anybody that has an EBT card or is on Medicaid, you can get Amazon Prime at a discount. You don't have to pay the normal price. You can get it. It's $6.99. Anybody can get it as long as you have an EBT or Medicaid and you
That's
can
good for
order.
you to mention that because you're helping people that may not be aware
Yeah,
of that.
right. And I found that out by accident through an app that I use. But you can get it for $6.99, and you can order your groceries. If you can get Amazon Fresh, you can have that delivered to your home. It's just a lot of helpful tips, especially for people that can't get around too well.
And Prime, if the person has the SNAP, they're still entitled to regular Prime benefits.
All of that.
Yeah, amazing.
You get the Prime benefits, you get the movies, you get the music, you get everything that Prime has to offer the normal consumer. You will get it at the discount. For those that don't know, I do want to.
That's very nice.
I do the discounted because I have, I've got the food card. But
what I wanted to mention, Steve, I will never ever pay full price for popcorn because when you just said movies, like thinking about Prime for a minute, when I think of what people pay at the movies for popcorn, it's just I can't. I just can't do it.
I don't even know what popcorn costs now. The last time I went to the theater was with my oldest nephew. We went and saw Star Wars: The Force Awakens. I think a large popcorn was like $5.50. I don't know what it is now. And the prices that you pay at the concession stand, I realize it pays the people that work there.
We understand. Yes.
Why do I want to pay $4 and $5 for a box of candy when I can go to the Dollar Tree and get it for $1.25?
Amen to that. And another thing and it's sort of on topic but off topic about pricing. I just have to mention a dear friend of mine posted a picture on another platform. She purchased 2, like from the truck ice cream cones, 1 ice cream cone with sprinkles, soft serve, regular ice cream cone, nothing fancy. $7 an ice cream cone. It cost her $14 to get her one and one for her friend. That is a scary day.
If I want to lay out that kind of money for ice cream, and nobody should, I better get a very well-known brand like Carvel or Baskin Robbins or Haagen-Dazs. Now Haagen-Dazs, that's worth $7. I mean, and you can get a thing of it, but that's ridiculous for soft serve.
From the truck. I mean, what are you going to do? Give your kid $15 to run to the truck? I mean, really? No, you better find a bunch of the ice cream at the market and having it at home.
There's a place that I went to. It's not local to me. It's in a little city it's like a small town. It's about 50 minutes away from me, maybe an hour. And it's a little place you drive up to, you get out of your car, it's a little stand that you order, and you have picnic tables to sit down. A friend of mine just ordered a large dipped cone, a chocolate dipped cone. He only paid $1.95 for it. Now that sounds a lot more realistic than
that's more realistic and affordable.
I mean, for $7, I mean, I better get a buy one get one free deal, or I better be buying some really top notch ice cream for that.
Correct. And it came from, the kind you get from the truck. We don't know necessarily how fresh it is or, you know?
Yeah, I know. You don't. All you know is you're getting an ice cream, but you really don't know when that was made. It could be over a month old. It could be 2 months old. It
Right.
could be, you know. So yeah. Well, Janet, I want to thank you for coming aboard, and we just, talking about a few old things.
Thanks for having me here. I appreciate it.
Sure, no problem. And again, and I know a lot of you guys out there that are tuning in. I'm sure there's a lot of things or items that you remember from back in the day. I know there's a lot of things here and there. Some of the ones I mentioned from back in the day that's not around. Oh, another one. I know that I've been doing a little bit too many yogurt taste tests lately, but here's one that people may or may not remember. I got a yogurt. You and I can relate to this. Big, or I think it come out around 86, and I ate it through like 90, 91. Whitney's yogurt.
Oh, the best. I loved
It
it.
was in a creamy light yellow container. It had like pieces of apple and walnuts and raisins. I mean, there was a couple of 3 different varieties, 4 that they made, but that was so pure and good. Whole milk.
Yes.
That's
One of the
um,
best. One of the best.
I will say this. Like I said, I just did a taste test on Noosa not too terribly long back, a few days back, and I just did one for the lemon wee. And the consistency of both of those is similar to what the Whitney's is. It kind of reminds me of, the condensity of it. Yeah, it reminds me of the Whitney's.
Yeah.
But I thought I would mention that. And that's pretty much it. So I just want to thank everybody for tuning in this afternoon. Be on the lookout on Tuesday. I have a nice recipe for you. Do you have anything coming up on
Yes,
your?
thank you. I would like to mention, and thanks for reminding me, tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern, it's going to be a premiere. Steve and I will be honoring mothers in general and
Oh
also
yeah.
specifically honoring our mom. So head
Mhm.
back over to my channel, the Jan from New York City Saves Money channel tonight at 7 o'clock. Thanks.
Sure, you're welcome. All right, everybody. I hope everybody has a great remainder of your Saturday. Have a nice weekend, and I'll see you on Tuesday.
Bye-bye.
Bye.